Hello, everyone. Today we are briefly going to review pronouns and what a pronoun is, and then we will discuss pronoun agreement. First off, a pronoun is a small word that can take the place of a noun, and a noun is a word that represents a person, place, thing, or idea. In this following sentence, we can see that Maria is our noun, and then the words she and her are the pronouns. Those refer directly back to Maria. You will also remember that pronouns in English change based on whether or not they are in the subject or object position of a sentence. Now, the reason why knowing about pronouns is important today is because we are going to discuss pronoun agreement. And when we discuss pronoun agreement, there are two main rules that you need to know. The first rule is that if a pronoun's antecedent, if the noun that it is referring to is plural, then the pronoun must also be plural. And this is called agreement in number. Additionally, pronouns need consistent point of view, and you can use either first, second, or third person, but regardless of what you use, and we'll talk about those in more detail in just a moment, you need to remain consistent throughout the piece of writing that you are writing. And this is called agreement in perspective. Now, to start out, we'll talk about agreement in number. So you can see our top sentence says, if a person wants to succeed in politics, they need to know the rules of the game. Now, this is a technical grammar issue because a person is singular, they is a plural pronoun. Now, this is interesting, though, because this rule is starting to change. And you all might have your own opinions about that, and that's fine. But generally speaking, in the past, they has referred to plural antecedents. So what I mean by that is they has been a plural word. Now we're seeing more and more that people are more accepting of the fact that they might be used as a singular pronoun. As far as the grammar goes, most people still expect they to refer to plural antecedents. Most people still view they as being plural. And specifically here, I'm referring to the College Board. And the College Board runs AP exams. They're also involved in ACT and SAT testing. So depending on how much you care about their perspective, it is important to know that in their mind, so on the ACT test, on the SAT test, on AP tests, the word they should be plural. However, as I mentioned before, that is changing fairly rapidly, and most people at this point are okay using the word they as a singular pronoun. And honestly, this is something that we've been doing naturally for a long time now. I might say something like, Sarah left her water bottle on the desk, and Sarah is singular and her is singular. But I might also say, hey, they left their water bottle on the desk in reference to Sarah, and that's something that we've been doing for quite some time. So the word they is kind of in flux right now, and you can establish your own opinions based on that. However, now you know the background of the issue. Additionally, beyond agreement in number, you also need to know about agreement in perspective. And what this is referring to is whether or not all of the pronouns in a given piece of writing use the same perspective, either first, second, or third person. Our incorrect sentence says, if a person wants to succeed in politics, you need to know the rules of the game. This is a problem because a person is in third person perspective, you is in second person perspective, and they don't match. When we write, we should make sure that those match. So in order to fix that, we might say, if a person wants to succeed in politics, he or she needs to know the rules of the game. Additionally, we could revise to make it, if you want to succeed in politics, you need to know the rules of the game. Either way is fine, but we need to make sure that our perspective is consistent all the way through. Now, bouncing back to agreement in number. Here are a few words that are actually singular, and most native English speakers might look at these words and say, no, those are actually plural. But in actuality, grammatically speaking, they are singular words. So if you use the word anyone, someone, everyone, somebody, nobody, or each, those are singular words and should be matched up with singular pronouns. So here's another example of that. This top sentence says, each student must study hard if they want good grades. Now, we just talked about how each is a singular word. Therefore, our they should be revised into a singular pronoun. And again, we talked about that just a minute ago. Some of you might be okay with using the word they as a singular pronoun. That's fine. But grammatically speaking, that each needs to be singular. And that's something to keep in mind. Additionally, we have this big list here that's going to be important when we talk about agreement in perspective. So bouncing back to that second rule of agreement in perspective, it's important for you to know which pronouns occupy which perspectives. So when we use first person, we are going to use pronouns such as I, we, me, us, my, our, and ours. When we use second person, we're going to use words like you, your, and yours. And when we use third person, we're going to use words like he, she, him, her, it, they, them, their, theirs. Now, the important difference between these is first and second person are generally considered informal. Third person is generally considered formal. Beyond that, though, first person includes the writer or the speaker in the language. So you can see me. If I use the word me, that is including myself as the writer into the writing, which may or may not be okay depending on the context of your situation. In formal writing, you'd want to avoid that. In informal writing, it's fine. But that's what first person is when you include yourself in the writing. Second person, on the other hand, is when you talk directly to your audience and you say you, your, or yours. And so you're referring to your reader or your listener. And again, that might be okay depending on your context, but it's not very formal. The most formal situation is to remove the writer and the reader from the writing and turn it into third person. So if we use the word they, them, theirs, it, the writer is no longer involved and the reader is no longer involved. And that's the most formal option that we have. Here are some examples of that. It's important for students to complete your homework. Now, this is incorrect because students is in third person, your is in second person. Those don't match. So we would need to fix it by saying it's important for students to complete their homework. Both of those are now in third person. Additionally, we could say it's important for you to complete your homework, or it's important for me to complete my homework. Either of those revisions would be fine. It's only important that you make sure to use pronouns that all have the same perspective. So if you're using first person, stick in first person. If you're using second person, stick in second person. If you're using third person, stick in third person. Overall, though, what you have learned today is how to make your pronouns agree. Hope you have a good one.